1-0 up, and Giants have got to work hard if they want to be able to pull this one through. I believe we can get those logos at the top switch round. We have had an upgrade on yesterday. The show gets better as the day goes by, and there goes the banner. What mysteries will descend on us next, Fluke? Will it return with the logos rearranged at the top of the screen?
I guess only time will tell.
It will.
Capital. He's gone off the board this time round. We saw him play it a little bit in the previous map, but obviously with the structural control that you can dictate on this map, the way you can really dig in and make sure, obviously, that you look towards laundry, you look towards the many tight nooks and corners that you can dig diffusers into, it becomes a very big operator and a very big removal in the play space Oregon offers. Maverick is going to join them. We're not going to have all 3 hard destruction, and it's a shame because these guys, well, they'd started to really cook their artwork, I think, towards the end.
Started to cook their artwork.
Yeah.
Who knows? The one thing I'm looking at here is that Monty's a thing. Or Monty is a thing is on the map.
Yep.
He is able to be played. So I'm excited to see if they do choose to bring this one out, or if it stays hidden in the shadows and is not used by anyone.
Well, that's all 4, and Clash is gone 2. Now we're in this situation where we're going to see how they grow in and how they put a little bit more pressure into Oregon. I say, how could they have applied more? It was a max OT. If you somehow missed it, A, where were you? B, well, get ready for probably more. Kids Dorms is where we're going to start. No, lying to you. It's Laundry and Spy is where we're going to start now.
Are you okay?
They changed, okay? Look, they changed. It's... You know.
There used to be a written rule in the UK Prem where we'd say things like, we don't talk about picks until they're locked in. For this exact reason.
That makes sense.
We get baited all day.
The UK scene is a tough scene to compare to any scene, I think. There's a lot of rules there that don't make sense anywhere.
And aren't really spoken.
Yeah, it's a lawless place. Here is a chaotically driven place. There's rules and there's laws, but the rules and the laws dictate that every game is going to be crazy. And we're about to see if this one continues that trend. Starting now with, obviously, the basement hold. They're going to make sure that they lock it in and lock themselves down. If you're unfamiliar with too much, well, A, you're in for a treat. I have heard a rumor that the man casting alongside me has a bit of a preference for this map.
I just really liked it. When it came out, I just decided to dig into it and just look at what teams across all regions were doing. Went to like the Nordic Championship. We went across to LATAM. Then we saw when EU and NA got their hands on it. And we've seen a lot of variety. So there's a lot to enjoy on Oregon. It's a safari, let's not forget. So you need to be enjoying what it is that you're looking at. At least in this setup, there's quite a hold in towards the hallway. I would expect that to maybe change. It's not the most common place to stick a shield. In this case, Red Sun's going to move across and bang a shield inside of L off towards Blue Bunker. So they're going to try and waste some time here, step back through that hole they have opened in the wall to his left and reinforce it once they lose control of construction. That is, of course, assuming that we see a construction take coming out, because teams can look towards Freezer, they can look towards Laundry. Normally, they do require one or, well, both to be able to go for a successful push down one of them. So I'm keen to see where Giants angle their attacks. Right now, the focus appears to be a bit further away from the site.
Well, they're looking towards the double window, and they're looking with this consistent droning. Some actual hot droning seems to be coming out there. It might just be a coincidence. As I said before, what we've generally seen from these teams has been a little bit more cold. Kind of like Napier is now. Hysterics. He said, to be fair, he started the last game slightly slow. Here he is heated up, quite obviously. Gets the opening frag and is going to try his best to set the pace for a man that is frequently the top of the board in a lot of the games he plays.
There's a bit of prep work going on there. At the top of those stairs gives you the vision from the top floor all the way down those laundry stairs in case someone tries to push up later on. It's DCH who's getting a little bit brave here, potentially expecting someone to come pushing down. Doesn't need to go too aggressive here. He can afford to just sit and wait patiently for someone to come at him rather than feeling the need to go and peek. But it seems like he actually wants to try and do that here. I don't know. I'm not sold by this sort of thing. Just trying to get him baited in, nothing else. I think it looks like a few of the members are rotating up towards the tower to the north, and that's where the push should come from. But there are still a couple hanging around to the south.
Now, they're keeping their eyes and still opening rotations, but if you compare the pace of how this was to the last map, it's pretty much par for the course. They are a steady team, both these teams. They like to make sure that they have everything under their belt before they start to strike. And I guess that is what this steady slew of explosions is dictating. Control of space, control of defenders, shepherd them into more uncomfortable positions, and you can see Red Sun is actually deciding to push a bit more aggressively, going a bit closer to the door Ysera is going to fire against and try and take this as a direct line. Ysera obviously not really in a position to drop that shield from range, needs this man who's coming in hot, Speakeasy, Going to probably pop that open with the Xavier. Obviously, there's not going to be any ADSs to protect it, you assume, because it's just been moved up and Jaeger's not there. There's the check anyway and the burn, and there's the rotation and the pull away.
I thought he was going to get himself swung on them, but not quite the case. And as mentioned earlier on, that shield is now gone back through the wall, and wall is reinforced. So, wasted a good amount of time. Giants in a couple of rounds we saw back on Clubhouse were running it down to the wire. Final 30 seconds is still with so much to do, and it's feeling very similar in this round. It will be coming down to a final second execute, but only just now have we seen the smoke canister start to come out, to a good amount of time to waste. Luna finds a kill onto Scatman, so they are in control here. There we go. They find the frags they need. It's down to Red Sun and DCH. DCH goes down. It's all down to one man by himself. It's Red Sun, and the plant is going down from Speakeasy. They need to know where it's coming from. All backs are turned. The drone is gone. They must surely know. Spray comes through, but can't quite get through the Habana to kill the planter. Giants take that first round, but my God, did they leave it until the dying seconds.
Yeah, it was Giants with a 4-1 man advantage. As I said before, it wasn't anything we really saw frequently, only one flawless and only one round where I think there was a 5 versus 2 split, and here we see obviously the same difference in the very opener. You wonder obviously if this is a bit of preference, if this is a bit of, okay, we've woken up to our play day and we are Giants 1 map down. This is a rare feeling for us across. We've lost the map. You know, there's expectations there for them and from us, and obviously all of you viewers at home, that they can do more, they can do better, they can take maps. They were as close as you could possibly be, taking it to a max OT, and, well, they're not going to make the same mistake, it looks like, with that intense opener.
And that's reinforced by how meticulous they were in that first round. They started off upstairs, as you said, being droned in, taking out all the default cams, opening up certain areas with the sledge. They made sure every element was being covered. And I think I had a good conversation with Gio about this the other day, actually, around when you ask about the style of a team, it's more what is their appetite for risk. And when we say appetite for risk, you can look at teams like G2 who, you know, face a lot of risk. They like to push in with the Monty. They don't bother droning out every single room on the map and making sure there are drones watching every single angle. They just sit behind Pengu on the Monty and try and make a push into an area of the map they want. Whereas what you've seen from Giants here in that first round, although we were saying we're in the final 30 seconds, they haven't really got a lot of control here. They're very slow. You might slate them for that. In my mind, you can't really slate them because they droned everything. They made sure there was no vigil lurking behind them. They made sure all the angles were covered. They've opened up the laundry stairs, for example. Their risk appetite was low in that first round, so they could gauge what was coming and just made sure they had the execute coming into those dying seconds. So well played by them, albeit it does make me sweat when we start seeing a team get towards the final 30 seconds and there's still work to do.
Here comes a man entering a bedroom and smashing open the door, looking for this roamer. They obviously caught a vigil very quickly last time, and they're not going to try and roll that dice again. Playing more towards our side, and the drone finds safety, and Scatman finds, well, his own. Heads back down to Harry Potter and looks towards the entrance on blue to make sure nobody catches him by surprise. Now he's a smoke by a pillar, a great place to be able to dig in, hold on, and stop a flood of bodies otherwise coming together. Obviously, we gave compliments to Giants being in a 4 versus 1 situation. The roam clear that they did was effective, but it did leave them with only a sliver of time. Having a smoke still available and still close to the punch might be something where they can just pressure Giants a little bit uncomfortably, force them into a more dangerous plant spot and make them make a couple of mistakes which are deadly in this game.
And that flash of orange across the screen, I thought Speakeasy was lurking a little bit too close to the door, but nope, good idea to pre-fire those in case someone is lurking nearby. They've done a good minute and a half of work here once again, being very meticulous, making sure the map is clear before they look towards these hatches. And now both will be opened in quick succession at bang on the 90-second mark. That's freezer and meeting being opened up. So I'm expecting to see a take inside of construction. That's why Speakeasy and Ysera are headed. Now it's about forcing Red Sun back. It's kind of a bunch of mini-games in Oregon. It reminds me of Clubhouse in that way that there is a list of things that need to be done. And right now they're doing them just fine.
It's step by step. We take this, we push towards bunker, we blow that man up behind a shield and try and take L, but unfortunately we step on a bomb and get blown out of the bunker and back to square one. With that wall being reinforced, as you said and called it would be, well, that means they've got this bit of play space they can manipulate. They can try and get close with that thermite and blow the wall open itself. they're going to probably have to. And now, unfortunately, with that there, they're going to have to do a little bit more. The mute jammer is going to force more attention from Luna, who otherwise isn't quite close enough to be able to get the immediacy they might want to crack open L.
I want to see if there's a mute jammer inside of Electric, but it looks like no is the answer. But they have control of Pillar and probably looking now to get this single wall open. Not always the most common wall to get opened up. Normally it stays closed. Going to pull themselves back, but it does give you a wonderful angle through to site. As long as you have control of Freezer, that is when you can then look to go for a plant in the northeast of Supply. The entryway in from Electric, but time is of the essence right here, and oopsie daisy. Unfortunate team kill comes through from Ysera onto Luna. And this is the problem, and it's why I get nervous about teams who leave things until the last few seconds, is that if you do make any mistakes there, you have no time to correct things, you can't move members around, you can't change a thing. And this is a prime example of what happens when it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, you compare that play, that round from Xavier with the last one. In the first round, they were active. They were across the map and trying to be explosive and roamy. That did not play against the Giants, who very quickly droned them out, shut them down, and found their way towards the site with a very little amount of pressure they then had to battle back against. Now, you see the changes Xavier brought. They are able to adapt. They kept themselves safe, as we saw from the smoke that was playing on the tower side, which was under way less pressure than obviously the dorm side of the map. They were able to, yeah, okay, get in a little bit of a scrape, but then pull themselves back when they realized that the pressure was getting a bit too hot, and make sure that they had that solidity, that core to pressure, as I said, the time, which is far and away the biggest mistake we've seen. Well, I say mistake, the biggest problem we've seen these two teams butting heads against.
This site at the minute is one of my favorites. And one of my favorites is on screen. It's Jess. DCH is a clutch man through and through. He absolutely can be. And that was obviously in reference to round 15 of Clubhouse, where he saved Xavier.
I think
Xavier.
I think of that like when I see is a clutch man. It reminds me of There Will Be Blood. Have you seen that film? I know you haven't seen many films.
I've seen a few films, but just not certain ones.
You're a big anime guy.
I am a massive anime guy. Be a different conversation then. Probably haven't seen that film, though, no.
Okay. He's an oil man.
Okay. He's slick.
That's a very specific film reference to, I guess, most of the viewers that are over the age of 30, which probably...
You're not that old, Fluke.
No,
You're older than me, aren't you?
Yeah.
We had a discussion the other day.
I'm at least 1,600 now. Coming up to.
You are very fortunate to have youth on your side, my friend. You look younger every day.
Hey, white stairs and pressure. That's a synonymous thing in this game, and it looks like they're trying to keep themselves alive. Two drones taunt them, like the Raven beneath the boards, but they're able to find themselves to a bit more safety on the top floor. And from then on, again, they're pulling themselves back. They're making sure that they're not in these places that can get caught. Because as I struggle over letters, it's actually Speakeasy that struggles over the firefight with Onigiri.
This is one of my favorite sites in the game to see attack because of the many ways in which you can approach it. And White Stairs is normally a big point of control late into the round. If you get an attacker flanking up there, they can cause so much untold damage to the defenders if they have not prepped themselves, and their focus is instead towards the more atypical push coming out of Trophy. So right now the focus is definitely looking out towards Trophy. They're trying to make sure that no one can come charging into games. They haven't got the wardrobe wall open to the south. It's where the main focus comes in. But with this window in the control of Luna, it makes it very, very uncomfortable for DCH, who's going to find himself down and eventually finished off by Hysterics. They have this trophy control I spoke about. Wardrobe is being opened in good time. Now you start looking for that plant in the northwest corner of game. It's the safest spot you can go for, but you have to be so worrisome of the C4s from below, assuming any was still on side, because with DCH going down, the only other option to the Goyo, who had already used his, has been removed.
Map2 is playing hyper-aggressive against the opener here on the walk-in wardrobe and is able to try and do some damage to the man outside and blows him off the balcony.
Ysera, I choose you. That's a new Pokemon acquired.
Well, that's an unfortunate way to be acquired. Map2 and Onigiri both on slivers of health here in terms of what they can do, but again, what we see from Xavier is, to them, the health bar is an optional thing to look at. They're gonna go for the firefights they want to, generally whether they're full health or on 1 HP in a dream. They are so aggressive, and so is Hysterics, who swings the corner and pops the head of Map2.
Good night with that pistol. I need to take some lessons. Clearly, the bearing is not the gun to be running on Hibana. Lessons learned, I'll say, Hysterics. Lessons learned. 3 versus 3. Giants with 20 seconds on the clock, but they've done the hard yards. I mentioned how important White Stairs can be late in the round. You're seeing it here as Jordan is in a mega power position, but can't bring down Red Sun. That's 2 kills going to the way of Xavier in quick succession. Nothing Giants can do. Xavier taking round number 3 and putting themselves up at 2-1.
Well, Xavier, they instantly find themselves battling back into this game, and obviously, if I was to say this is going to be probably going all the way again, I would be right. I think you can see both these teams. Again, even in these rounds, where it is going to one team or the other, regardless of the outcome, usually. There's obviously been 1 or 2 exceptions, the first round of this map being one of them. It's so bat for bat. Both of them are so capable and so confident at being aggressive against each other and just making sure that they, there's a difference between, obviously, we know our safety, we know our intel, and we know we can take fights and be safe and look for trades. These 2 teams, they know that they can take fights, full stop. They're happy to take fights. They want to swing against each other and prove who is the better one at just that 1 versus 1, that mano a mano, and then go from there.
We get to go to the off-sites, and this is another beautiful thing about Oregon is all 4 sites are viable. And actually, Dining and Kitchen is considered the most unviable of the 4, but many teams still opt to run it. Normally, you'd see Kitchen and Meeting being the go-to, but here you're looking out towards the west. And this all focuses normally around showers, which you can see down to the south now. Take control of tower out to the west. Thank you very much, Easy, highlighting the room, which is being very appropriately reinforced by the defenders. They want to get through these 2 walls that you can see here. Normally, the left one is where you will then try and go for a plant just behind the couch on the other side. But to do that, you need control of showers so no one can swing out and spray you down from close range as you're trying to go for that plant. Easy, once again, you're making my life easy.
He's pretty good.
He is.
He's pretty good.
It's like he has 2 ears and he can hear what I'm saying and likes to follow. What a man.
Now, setting themselves up with, obviously, again, the solidity that they want and need here. As you said, and Gio mentioned yesterday too, it's the extension that becomes a big turning point and turning play of how this goes. It's worth, obviously, looking towards Giants on the last map and then managing to get 3 diffusers down across their attack rounds. They were able to do it in pretty quick succession, even when a lot of the kind of state of play and momentum of the round was against them. They would find themselves with a couple of square feet and, well, a bit of panache.
A bit of panache, love that word. Fav, yesterday when they were attacking in towards this site against Xavier, were in a spot where they had 3 or 4 members playing inside a tower. Red Sun just ran down Shower's corridor and mowed down 3 of them uncontested because they didn't have a flank drone. They had no one watching this south window that you can see Jordan currently hovering outside of. It is critical they keep a close eye on Shower corridor so that they don't have the same fate being undone onto them. I'd imagine they'd be very aware of it given what it is that happened yesterday. No doubt they've watched that game back. It's going to be Red Sun being his usual self out and about around the map, having a bit of a safari tour himself through Oregon, going to find the opening kill.
Yeah, and it's against your thermite, which is quite a big issue in this situation. Obviously, those walls around Shower and the site itself. Oh, they're staying, well, not entirely closed, but with Hysterics now the only art destruction you have left, it's going to be a much more tight squeeze and an uncomfortable bit of action you've got to push through. Oh no, wait, Hibana's dead now too.
Oh no, and another one's dead. This time it's on the other side though. It's Jaeger going down. Luna finding that kill, having a much better game here than he did back on Clubhouse. Down to the final 60 seconds, and we're still looking really for any kind of focus to go in towards this side. As you mentioned, both hard breaches now being gone makes this much more difficult. Oh, Speakeasy finding that kill onto Napier. That's the dot going down, and that's not a good one when you've got the ACOG and the juice. Here comes the push down, the Shower corridor, mind you, and Red Sun is holding close. UMP, absolute killer in this guy's hands. It turns out it's a 3 versus 2, and there's one inside of Showers they still haven't considered. Shotgun out and finds a kill. One was down, a shotgun to the face. All too easy for Xavier. Who knew? This site was very hard to attack when you haven't got any hard breaches.
That's the 3 in a row now for Xavier. They've been able to put the distance at 2 rounds, obviously. That was where it was at its greatest in the last map. It was the 4-2 split, and then from then on it became this back and forth. But in the same breath, what you're looking at here is more familiarity. Xavier, a team that has now pretty consistently been getting the opening kill. They're able to take this opening trade, whether it's against the Thermite or otherwise. It doesn't matter to them. They're happy to play off the site. As you said, Red Sun doing Red Sun things.
What are Red Sun things?
Hiding on corners that are unexpected and winning out.
Or just charging your way across a totally undefended part of the map and sometimes being caught out, but sometimes finding great success, like killing Habana back on the last map.
It's a show reel maker.
Yeah.
It's the plays that you'd put, like, you know, the operator.
I think you figured them out now. Basically, all they play for, is Twitter impressions.
It's Twitter impressions.
That's all they care about.
Like, you know when you have the operator videos?
Yes.
Where you see, like, just giving me the dirtiest looks now. Where you see Blitz and he's running through and the dubstep's playing.
No.
You don't know that one.
I might do when I see it, but I can't.
When you unlock the OG operators.
Oh, yes. I remember.
And then the Blitz one is him and it's dubstep and he runs through the room. And that is what these guys are running on.
You reckon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's what these guys
He's just perpetually stuck in a state of dubstep and siege.
Yeah,
that's all he sees. It can't be too relaxed, because if you're sitting in a corner, listen to dubstep, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, you've got to be...
You've got to be charging around the map like a lunatic.
It's like when you used to watch Eunice play. Eunice was just unstoppable. Even when, like, they were frozen in motion, he's still swinging his mouse around. That guy, you can see why he's a pro driver or whatever. Unstoppable. Hey, Tower, that's under pressure. We haven't seen too much fighting around Tower as of yet.
He's just trying to see what he can. I imagine he knows there's probably a couple of drones lurking around if there is any focus coming in towards Tower. And rightly so, there is one hidden down for Luna, just off to the right-hand side of Tower. So they'll know that there was a visual lurking around. They get those lovely indicators around the screen to say, hey, there's a guy around here that probably wants to kill you, but you just can't see him. We're going to have to try and find him in person and kill him first. But he chooses to opt to run back to the site, keep himself nice and safe. Felt he's wasted at least some time at the start and couldn't quite find a cheeky kill onto anyone pushing in the top floor of Tower. Giants are sensible and careful about their approaches to the sites, if nothing else.
Well, here comes that slow and steady, careful approach as the drones fall like rain around Speakeasy, and he's actually going to opt to swing the opposite way. I think they got a beat on Map2, and that's the vigil gone as they're able to close down. And you could see they kind of went, he's here, and he went, I'll come help, and they went, you don't have to. I've already got him, he's already dead. We got a minute 30 now. Let's look towards taking control of Harry Potter in the bottom of Tower. A slightly different approach to how they've been leading this. Red Sun was out the map there for a split second, seeing if he could catch anyone on the unsteady approach, but I like the change of face here from Giants, because obviously the blue bunker didn't quite work for them the last time. It was exceptionally successful for them the first time. They want to slightly change what they're doing, because it's been proven Xavier not only learn, they learn very well.
And it's very akin to what we saw back in the last couple of rounds. At about that 90-second mark, it was about 10 seconds slower in this round. They do have the key hatches open. And then it comes to a war against Red Sun, who's holding very nice and close inside a bunker. That requires someone like a Xavier to come swinging around to get a grenade or at least an impact in there to deal with that deployable shield with the Vulcan on the back, of course. There she is. So now that's done and out the way, they'll step back, they'll reinforce the wall, and we reset back to how things played out last time. Giants, no doubt, hoping for the round one style of execute, where they run in and clean up 2 or 3 nice and quickly. They are in a 5 versus 4. They have the numbers advantage, they can play for the trades. But no doubt Xavier remember just how painful it felt to lose that first round.
Here comes the flood of blue as they look to try and, well, make sure that everybody inside the site is under their control. Scatman smokes himself, but Red Sun decides he doesn't like that and kills his teammate. Speakeasy gets Red Sun and gets revenge. But 5 versus 2 with 15 seconds left, the balls that plays towards the defenders. But at this point, they're getting in, they're getting the diffuser down, and they're getting the kills. Giants, with a lot of panache and a little bit of luck, they find their second round.
That team kill was in the most unfortunate timing as well, because they had the smoke canisters to deploy and waste even more time as that clock ran lower and lower. You had the smoke stepping up with the shotgun, ready to contest anyone who's pushing in through electric. That would have enabled another player on the side to simply watch that single wall that had been opened at the top side of supply and find the critical kills they needed to stop Giants winning out that round. But unfortunately, when you're in that very awkward 1vx situation on site, there's not a whole lot you can do except play for the trades. In that case, the trade was not in their favor. Going to head back upstairs now, kids and dorms. The next and final site of this half. It's generally one of the easier ones to defend. We've already seen them win this back in round number 3. We'll see if they can repeat successes once more.
Maestro, I believe, is on the board for the first time today. Obviously, it's a big gun that can be utilized very, very well by a lot of players, but you look at the play spaces where you can set it up here, especially on dorms. The first one that always screams out to me is the way that they can use those cameras and put it towards attic, and the offer of utility that can really pay dividends slightly later on down the line. Obviously, as wonderfully demonstrated here, this is the main artery that leads to the beating heart of the Dorm's site. You have to get control of this if you want to have any comfort and confidence in being able to lock it down. Obviously, it's not the be-all and end-all. We saw the push from the opposite side and walk in. But if you're looking towards that backside of the site, it is your yellow brick road.
Your yellow brick road. This is the awkward spot for Onigiri in that last round where it was, you knew there were 3 or 4 pushing in towards site. If he caught the thermite, it could have been a different story. But I think when you're in a spot where, even though you managed to find yourself that kill that he found in towards the Zofia, pushing in towards supply, you still had the flank coming in down Freezer at the same time. So, I don't know. Well played by Giants to coordinate on that front. We'll see if they can repeat successes in this round. A very heavy Attic presence being shown up here. Normally you'd see teams stat things like mute jammers in here, but for them without one on side, it just comes down to a shield, a camera, a bit of barbed wire. Anything they can do to slow the advance in on the attacking side. You want to get your way in towards Master and put a little bit of focus with your Hibana in towards opening up Trophy Wall to contest anyone who might be hiding inside of what's called Pig, because there is a massive pig on the wall.
Brilliantly named. Brilliantly put together. Great. Exceptional. Other words that complement the pig. Now they're looking for the Valkyrie information. Now they're looking for all the intel that they can get. As I said, it's a consistent, and so is that. Big bodies, big trades, big opener for Scatman and Isera. DCH taken off the board alongside Jordan, which are 2 players that, well, they've been able to have their own impacts throughout this playday so far. They're weaseling and tunneling their way towards walk-in with Napew Dog just on the other side. Curious to see what they try to respond with, as last time it was an active Echo pushing through and blowing up the man outside. This time, well, it's a big gun they can swing.
Oh, shot from downstairs. He's got the window, he's got this angle downstairs. He needs to be so careful where he moves. He doesn't have a lot of agency. The head sees him first. Unfortunately, Luna picking up Napier, and that's the Maestro gone. I imagine they were trying to use that to impact Trick under the wall, as you can do inside a wardrobe. Scatman's going to at least trade something back and give some renewed hope to Xavier in this round. But I'm looking at the time and saying 1 minute and 20. That's a lot of time for Giants to play with, and just like we saw in Clubhouse, when they have a lot of time to work with, they tend to be successful.
Yeah, they obviously still have all of their hard destruction utility on the board. The opposite of the time they tried to take Dining Kitchen. This time they've got all of the hard destruction, all of the walls are under their control, and they're going to try and make the most of it now. They're looking towards the angles and looking towards the sites, but it's a game of waiting for the defenders. They know the pressure's coming. They hear that ominous little buzzing of drones like flies around the feet of the corpse waiting for the slaughter. Well, here come flash grenades.
That was only the first smoke canister coming out as well. A second one sings in towards the window where Luna is playing right now, and he's clearly not too bothered by that. He's going to get himself up on the roof and rotate over to big window, I think. So they're going to try and get a flank on here because they know that they're watching so intently towards game room and down towards this window inside of game that they need an alternative angle. So good call from Luna here. Almost finds a kill for himself, but not quite. Scatman's on a triple, mind you, but in comes Hysterics on the Hibana. Where have we seen that one before? Picks up a kill for himself, but Xavier, somehow, a team kill, not again!
Oh no!
How does this happen all the time?
I was so puzzled as to what occurred through the man. Oh no!
Luna had done so much work in that round as well. Oh, okay, well that's heartbreak, but it puts things at 4 and 2. Which I don't think either side will be too bothered about. For those watching who don't strictly know how this region plays out, we spoke about it quite a bit yesterday. Coastline, the worst defender map in the region at 32% success rate on the defensive side. Oregon, the most successful of defenders, about 61% I believe it sits at the minute. So generally quite hard to attack, you would say, for most teams. I think the scoreline kind of reflects how that's played out. 4 and 2 on the defensive half for Xavier. Now we get to do the switch, and this is where things get scary. This was the map pick coming out for Giants. They're the ones going on to defense. I guarantee you they are feeling more than confident coming into this.
Well, they've got it. It's anything less, and this could very quickly slip through their fingers. Obviously, as you can tell, they are 1 map down, as demonstrated on the top of the screen. Xavier through, well, quite injured, and on a 7-8 max OT, were able to take the first map. Here, obviously, they take this, they move on to the grand final to face whoever comes through of the game later on this day. But it's not over for Giants, as you said. This is their map. This is a place they're comfortable and confident playing in. They've been able to pull 2 of their attacks now, and they're heading over to, as you said, the most defender-sided map of the region. A place they can lock in, dig down, play their strats, and see what they can come out with.
I'm just looking there and saying, oh no, the terror of APAC has appeared in the top right corner of the screen. It's Monty. We didn't see him banned away, and we're like, oh, maybe we'll get to see him. And then, well, Giants, despite being a relatively Monty-heavy team, I wouldn't say reliant, but definitely Monty-heavy, opted not to bring it. Red Sun clearly throws caution to the wind and goes, I don't care if you're the main Monty boys and probably know how to play against him. We'll bring Monty just fine. And that's what their reliance is going to be here, although only a single hard breacher on side makes me a little bit nervous.
Speakeasy, playing in the rotation just above Harry Potter, is actually going to rotate to and through past pillar and make sure that again they keep themselves alive.
Oh,
the hiccup is Hysterics here though. Moved in the wake of the escaping Speakeasy and is looking to take them by a bit of surprise. If untested, well, was tested and expertly and rightly so pulls away. There was a drone, they can't play those games any longer, but again, they're waiting and baiting. They know that they're here to waste time and hopefully waste the members of Xavier. But they're not a team that's going to charge in without doing the appropriate drone work first. The worry is a minute has passed, and they've only just found their way into the building.
There's a bit of spray coming through there for Super Onigiri, but not quite connecting onto the... I saw you slip just then. Not quite connecting onto the goal in the same way that Fluke clearly can't connect with the floor too well. It's still a 5 versus 5 with a minute and a half left, and the Monty hasn't yet let himself be known. The presence hasn't quite appeared in the way they would want. He's still holding out inside of construction right now, looking to find anything going on inside a bunker. They've got rid of the Goyo shield, they've reinforced the walls, and now what they really need is their hard breacher to be down here with him, getting this stuff open. But the biggest fear is you've got to use those on things like the hatches upstairs. So the Monty will not be able to go through a wall because they've had to use one of those Excaliburs already. You need 3 for a Monty to be able to walk through without having to remove his shield and crouch down. Not that he cares, as with the tower control confirmed, they have now moved their way in towards Electric, and he is bearing down on them like a beast, just waiting for the right time to try and enable Scatman to go for a plant, but it's all about the information feed back and forth right now.
Great lesson there as well for you Monty mains out there is, well, check your corners. We saw Red Sun doing it pretty continually. As you said, it was called, the tower is clear, but it's still always something to check because Xavier are a team that were consistently caught by a bit of surprise, and you want to make sure your man Mountain stays standing. Long angles being held there towards Long as they make sure nobody swings around from close, but no. Jordan is the first to get blood. Scatman goes down through the open breach, and that's going to put a big hole into the hold that they otherwise had here. Hysterics finds another, with DCH meeting the same fate as Habana on the opposite side. Monty's had to rotate round, battles a shield, but there goes Jordan, and there is Kaid, who tries to double down and apply some reverse pressure. Hysterics gets Nay on the side, but Onigiri finds Ysera. Again, blow for blow, step for step, and almost the backpack of a very big man on the close corner. They're looking for something, and they find one, they find two, they almost find all of them! But there is the diffuser, there is Monty, there is a knife fight, and there is an unusual end to an explosive round.
Hysterics with a 4K. I mean, he was so fortunate there too, because if the Monty had stood back up in time and got that shield up, there was no way in hell he goes on to win that round. Really good timing, even though the team did get flanked out initially. It's almost like a counter-flank to a counter-flank. Beautiful stuff out of Giants, but very, very close to Xavier, and you just get the feeling once more, this is going to be one of those games that goes all the way down to the wire, Fluke.
I mean, it's consistent. We can only really say that. Again, when you talk about the rules of regions, when you talk about the history of regions and how these teams play against each other, it is that wonderful combination of high energy, high impact play combined with consistency. All of these teams are so capable of keeping the pressure on, keeping themselves hot and keeping themselves going that we see round after round, map after map, these firefights, these sprays, these movements, these motions. I assume the comms are chaotic in those choke moments, but at the same time, with what the gunfire leads to, it's working.
World Dining and Kitchen workout for them. We spoke around this earlier on, back in round number 4, I think it was, when we saw Xavier defending on that site. They managed to kill both of the hard breachers very early on, and we said there's no way you get control of showers, there's no way you can open up into dining itself. You're a little bit lost here, unfortunately, guys. On the other side, once more, it's only Scatman playing on the hard breach, and I said it last round, it still applies here. It makes me nervous. You lose that Habana, your round is done. You get into a spot where you open up a wall, Maybe you get a couple of holes open. The Monty still can't just walk through. You have to commit all of your hard breach into one particular wall if you want the Monty to be able to march through. And you might say, for Xavier, sure, whatever. They can ignore that. They can just push him through a doorway. They've got a Monty. Why do they need to care? It's more the fact of the angle denial it gives to everyone else to support the Monty. If he's pushing inside of dining, for example, when you haven't got shower control, he's very lonely in there. He's exposed in that top left corner with no one else able to provide any backup, and that's what I need to see Xavier approach very carefully.
Well, now it's a matter of holding onto angles and looking for, well, the firefights. It's one of the things as well worth commenting is, for all we talk about how explosive and how electric the teams are when they butt heads and clash like titans, well, before that, it's a lot of information gathering. It's a lot of slow and steady. The first minute of the round has been so rare to see anyone fall in because neither team wants to overstretch in that opening engagement.
It's like we spoke about earlier on as well in terms of like risk propensity, how willing you are to take those risks with the Monty on side. You can afford to be much more direct about your approach towards the site, as they're trying to do now, because he can feed this information back and forth. He can see these cheeky angles that players like Speakeasy are trying to hold. He can step out the way and half a second later, or even a millisecond later, someone on his team can be blasting down the same channel and hopefully picking up a kill. So it's a smart tactic. It's a question of how quickly they can get control of showers though, because right now Speakeasy refusing to move. He is down to a third of his HP though.
And, well, Ysera almost joins him, goes a little bit lower, and that's the danger of Goyo. Not only are you generally in quite hyper-aggressive positions, but you're also behind shields. Your shields, they explode into fire. You see more of those kill teammates than otherwise. But at the same time, Map2 and Onigiri have both suffered a little bit and a lot of bit of damage on the opposite side. Again, less than a minute left. Nobody has fallen. Nobody has given their life away. And with Luna and Hysterics still both upstairs, they have to try and alleviate some of the pressure here to allow this plant, this diffuser, to get just a bit closer. It's on the floor, abandoned and dropped in front of the Monty, who's going to try and offer it. But actually, DCH is going to pick it back up. Here comes the blow of pressure. The curious bit, Luna driving around, having a good time.
Well, DCH is there lying in the smoke. Now you are. Step away, good sir. They only have a couple of holes opened up here, I think, inside this meeting room wall. It's enough to be able to get some grenades through, and they're trying to go for the smokes. Speakeasy, still in control of shower. This is where my worry comes in. It's very one-directional for them. They've only got the doorway to push through, and there is no support coming from anywhere. 10 seconds left, and Giants stand like an iron fortress, ironically given they're against a Monty, but 2 kills for Xavier coming out of nowhere. Puts us into a 3 versus 3. C4 comes in, just about stopping it in time, but the plant is not going to be going down here. In fact, I say that, it is, but no way that lasts, as there is even an echo drone there. So Giants had fallback after fallback after fallback. I mentioned around this one-dimensional push where there was no real support because of the single hard breacher. I think now is the time to say, look guys, we really need more hard breach here, and look to bring a Thermite or a Maverick with you.
So far, every single round, the team that's got the opening kill has been able to actually take the round. It wasn't the same on the previous map. It was close, but there was a couple of swap-overs. Here, though, it's been pretty consistent. It's the one team that seems to get that opening edge, that initial bit of control. It kind of stems and slows the opponents. They haven't been able to find the same solidity and the same confidence that they were in their previous adaptations around Clubhouse. Here, talking of adaptations and talking of things you love to see, hey, there's a second hard destructor.
I like me a second hard destructor. After the last couple of rounds, I think it is very sorely needed. As mentioned, Map2 switching over to playing on the Thermite should give them more options. Strictly for this site, I wouldn't say it's 100% required. It's not going to hurt to have it. But your main focus is definitely going to be in towards that wardrobe wall that I mentioned earlier on. Get that open and look to plant inside of games. It was all down to Luna being on the rappel previously, if you remember back when Giants were the ones on the attack, playing on the window and looking to cause some trouble, contesting the player that was inside of Attic, and also making the one that was sat inside of games squirm a little bit. So maybe there's some elements to be taken from the strat book there by Xavier from Giants to say, well, that worked so well for them. Why don't we try and repeat the same?
Now they're obviously playing towards dorms for the first time. They've threaded 2 defenses in a row to be able to pull themselves back to level pegging. They take this, they've done not only the trifecta of talent and locking down, but also they found themselves in the driver's seat of the game, something they haven't actually held since the opening round they're able to take away from their opponents. It's down now to Xavier to find some of that pace and passion we know they're capable of to start swinging this back into their favor, because the momentum is slowly slipping. And yes, this is a map where it generally plays to the defender's favor, but if Giants can get this third one in a row, put themselves in a 5-4 position, and then look back to going to Laundry and Dining Kitchen with how that's gone, well, it's looking very, very good for their own map pick.
I worry about Jordan sitting inside of Armory. One, it's not really a place most people play because you can just take control of that corridor and suddenly that player is very isolated. You do have a hatch you can drop through. And actually, I believe it was in APAC, we saw a couple of teams really putting a lot of focus into holding Armory and wasting a good 2 minutes because you have to rotate around quite a few things to make it work. Here, it's more down to the fact that Monty can isolate the player inside of Armory and cause a lot of trouble that I'm mindful of.
Now Hysterics was going for a rotation and going for a bit of action as he looks to see if he can apply some pressure towards the back of the tower stairs. He is on the deep roam and is actually not going to take it, potentially concerned about a drone and a bit of intel.
I love how that required the sound effect too, the deep roam.
I need production to twin that with like an effect at some point, but we'll work on that.
Deep
We look now to the wide, the width, the play and the player. One that is hugely capable and still free to move around. Red Sun has found his way to the door, diffuser in hand. Scatman is using that to support and pinch Ysera.
You're a bit late there.
At the back, but
it's really electrical at it, like, after it had already been ticking away for quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So he's bailed on that one anyway. The nice thing about having the Monty is, again, you can just charge your way in here. There's no worries because you're generally pretty safe. Haven't got to worry about droning out every which angle because, well, there's a nice big faceplate in front of you that protects your whole body. Great angle being held by Onigiri, though, this time from a different window. And I think a bullet hole or two in that window rather than knocking the whole thing out. So clearly no communication coming in from the other members of Giants to say there is a player lurking on that kid's window. Be very, very mindful.
Yeah, and I guess, again, if we want to talk about little mistakes that we've seen these teams make, Giants have this horrible habit of making them. One or two times now we've seen it cost them on this map. We saw it on the previous one before, and, well, it's the battling back that they do that's going to try and pull them back into this firefight. The first, Ysera, who's been pretty exceptional on the defenses so far, being able to find yet another kill. Yes, the turn of play and the turn of pressure as Red Sun drops Shield, drops Luna, and Speakeasy drops Scatman.
Speakeasy's down behind the bed, though. It's a 3 versus 2 right now. It all comes down to the Monty being able to bully people out, but he's been killed from behind. Hysterics, a massive double kill, but Onigiri's on a triple kill. It comes down to a 1 versus 1. He has no idea where he is. Flames will be burning, can't even start planting in time. And Hysterics does enough. 2 massive kills to make sure his team did not lose out in that round. So far, 3 flawless defenses, 1 on every single site we've seen them play, coming out from Giants. And I wonder, can Xavier find a single round on the attack?
I mean, that was the player where I highlighted him as the round was going on, and wonderfully demonstrated by Easy 2 as you saw the motions Hysterics wanted to make. He was chomping at the bit to, well, chomp at the ankles of the players on the attack. He had found his way beneath and behind them. He waited for the perfect moment, waited for the chance and the opportunity, and struck at magnifique moment.
How many of the words do you have in your vocabulary that are French? I was going to say, surely it's limited.
Not many, no.
I can do ça va, and ça va très bien merci. That's about as far as I go. That was basically all I remember. And j'habite à Tamworth, where I'm from.
Comme ci, comme ça.
Comment tu t'appelles, is it? What's your name, is that?
Je m'appelle Capitaine Fluke. Et vous?
I love how it has to require the et toi, isn't it? I was always told.
Et vous is for... I think it's a thing of respect, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. That's why I was
Production
told.
probably in right now.
Like,
just like
these English plebs, how dare they try and soil our language? We apologize.
I'm a really horrible. I'm the worst kind of tourist in that I was like walking down. We went on a bit of a walk, me and the observers, yesterday through Paris, and I was looking at all the little stalls that were selling like the fridge magnets and all of this stuff. And Easy was like, "I want to find something proper," and I'm like, "No, I want to buy all of this stuff. I want to buy all of these."
You
things.
are the reason why there's always these cheapo goods that are just laid out on random streets for you to buy.
I'm really sorry, Parisians. I am the reason.
I am the reason for this tourism. I do apologise. We saw that replay a second ago. There was a single panel of wood had been shot out by the looks of it, with no, again, communication being passed back by the defenders. The glass didn't smash, it was just slightly pierced to give them a bit more visibility through. So no real massive loud sound ringing out to at least indicate that Onigiri was there. Hysterics finds out where Onigiri is in this round though, and he will no longer be present. The Zofia taken from the board by the current top fragger in the server. It's Hysterics on 13 kills, and it's all about him versus Onigiri in this game.
I mean, it's worth shouting out, obviously. 13-4.
He's like, guys, you threw that last map, you let DCH in, why? And they're like, we're really sorry. He's like, don't worry, I got this.
I'm here now. I'll do it. No, it shows so much about this player because, obviously, as pointed out at the time, in the first half of the first map, he didn't quite find his feet to what we know he's capable of. A 1 KD, which it roughly was, is still great. You're getting in, you're having a consistent cost, you're able to supply yourself and apply what you can do.
Can he? This would be incredible if he manages to get behind with it. He knows that they've gone inside. He knows, surely he has the indication. That camera may have just seen him for a brief second, but he's now trying to find out what's going on outside. The answer is not a whole lot. They're already indoors, man. They're looking towards White Stairs. There was someone on cameras. I just don't think they saw him. And now Napier has had the call that someone is lurking behind. He knows as well. Who finds his kill, though? It's Napier onto Hysterics. Almost passing each other like ships in the night, but Napier returns, or turns about, and turns those cannons towards Hysterics.
You saw it there at the end. You saw the drone poke around the corner that revealed the beast of a player. Complimented, and his performance definitely requires a huge amount of it. But at the same time, I think that more than dedicates and explains how important that kill was. Taking a player that is 13-5 off the board the same way they took off your 11-2 at the time. 6 player, well, you know, it's a bat for bat, blow for blow. How many times have I said that about these two teams? Pretty consistently. Because, yet again, 5-4, we're still here, still on this second map, and still finding these individual traits, finding these individual battles and these picks, and both teams are finding new ways to push their opponents, prod them, and really just frustrate them.
Frustration, no doubt, starting to set in for Xavier, as you mentioned a couple of times. Not a single win on this half of Oregon. Quite a bit of a split coming in here. You've got the Monty pushing in one side. Freezer is also pulling in some attention. Jordan's going to find Scatman elsewhere, so the numbers advantage currently lying with the Giants in this case. More kills to come for both sides, no doubt. There we go. Luna picking up DCH, not having the best game for himself so far. And Red Sun is injured. They're going to have to do something here to be able to get in and try and get a plant down. It's not going to happen in time, though. He's going to get taken out by the player sitting inside of Freezer, who was Speakeasy. Oh, Luna, sorry, I should say. And that's yet another round. Are you worried now, Fluke, or is it just me?
Sorry, I was drawn to that gun that was in that bomb. That was kind of cool. I mean, worried is a term. Obviously, it's still a 2-round difference. That's not the biggest gap between...
A 2-round difference, though, but it's more about the fact there's been 4 rounds back-to-back.
Yeah, it's been 4 rounds in a row. Or in fact, it's been 100% of their defenses have been very, very well won and well played. I still like that Xavier are adapting. I still like that Xavier are pulling these new tricks, like bringing in Nuke and looking for this surprise counter to a surprise player in Hysterics, who is just sneaking and skulking his way and Pink Panthering around this map and looking to... Yeah, it's the perfect moment. You see them both just moving around and you're thinking, okay, well, who's going to find who first? It was the drone game that, again, we've been very complimentary to throughout all of this that gave the game away, unfortunately, for Hysterics because, hey, that's what Nook does. She deceives and decepts and is other D word that means being hidden.
I can't tell you how much stick I got when I used to do Nordics for the way I said Nook.
Really?
Yeah, because they're like, no, it's like Nook, and I'm like, what, like Nook? Like Nook and Cranny? Like, no, like
Milosh.
Nook. It's like N-U-H-K.
Not Milosh. Medix was teaching us a little bit of Croatian. He was trying to teach us the Croatian word for horse yesterday. And it was all of us sat round in a nice
like a restaurant, an establishment.
Nice little restaurant, an establishment. And if anyone else could speak Croatian, it would just be one kind of irritated Croatian going, just saying the word. I've forgotten the word now. Just saying the word over and over again. And then 5 other people struggling to repeat what he's saying. It's not that hard a word either. Because Gio and Milosh, who are very good at languages, they were on the other end, and we turned to them and we were like, can you do this? And then they did it instantly.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, that's kind of good. And we were like, we're saying the same thing. And he was like, you're not. And I was like, oh, damn.
It was very
It's the sound. It's more the unique sounds that different dialects
make.
make.
He was very frustrated with us.
Yeah, it was interesting.
6-4.
A frustrated Medics looks very normal to everybody, I imagine.
Medics, 1 speed.
A man of few words, but all very impactful. And this has got to be a very impactful round, if not the only one this team go on to win. Xavier in a similar spot once more. The big difference is that here, well, no, there's actually no difference. They still only got 1 hard breacher. And this is the site that I would think you need to be bringing to. You need them here if you're going to be able to take control and get these walls open. If I was Speakeasy right now, I would be sweating because every single angle, the ADSs are being expunged. There is nothing left to protect him from grenades that might come singing in. That's why he's opting to try and go a little bit aggressive. They've got to deal with air jabs right now as well, and potentially a player coming in from behind. But still, it's going to find the opening kill despite being bullied from multiple angles. Massive for them, but now we can hear that dining wall being opened up. And with that hole being that big, Monty should be able to get inside.
Yeah, as you said, this was the main problem and trouble they had before. The hard destruction, which is so useful and so necessary on this site, was gone off the board very early. Here, they have a hope, they have a dream. Oh, but most importantly, they have a big open wall for a big man to slot through.
You've got the Echo Drone, I think.
The Echo Drone, yes, I believe that's gone too. Obviously, that was the be-all and end-all last time, but Luna's still up there, and he's got 2. Here it comes, driven round, droned round, and it's going to make sure that it plays a bit safe. Monty has done the same thing, has pulled back, made sure they don't get caught, because the execute has to be on the edge of a razor, as we know they are capable of. Here comes a huge amount of smokes. Canisters from both sides pop and stem the flow of not only bodies, but intel and information, as Onigiri finds Speakeasy and brings the balance back 4-4. Hysterics makes sure that doesn't last too much longer, though, but there's Onigiri yet again to take care of Hysterics and keep Xavier battling. Scatman 2 joins him on the board of killing, and now the bodies are in the favor of Xavier.
You see the angle there as well. Didn't quite pull the trigger in time. Being droned out at the same time. Maybe learned to panic a little bit there. Wasn't quite sure where to shoot or where to go. But right now it's Xavier going towards victory. We're going to potentially end up seeing another overtime here, Fluke, if this carries on. Scatman's going for the plant. Down comes Luna. He's been quiet so far. Finds 1. Can't quite connect the second. Xavier with round number 11. Once more we go the distance. Last time it was round 15. At least here we are guaranteed all 12 rounds of normal play. Which way does this one go, Fluke?
I kind of want another overtime.
I'll take them all day.
Like, it's the thing. It's like, when you see these two teams and you see how consistently they're working together and how consistently they're just trying to better each other and push each other, you kind of don't want it to end. Because in a weird way, it's unfair to the pair of them. Because they're both so capable. I know this is me taking a seat and going, I just want both teams to have fun. But in the same breath, it's so good to watch. It's so enthralling to watch because look at how they're playing. Look at how much further they're pushing. Look at them learn as the rounds and as the games are going on. Look at how good this region can be.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
In this semi-final, not at all to take away from the other game that we'll be seeing after this, of that Cyclops versus C9. This game in itself feels like a final. Given the record that both teams have had, it's a massive game, and we knew that coming into it. Although we all sat there and said Giants are the team that we all expect to win, understandably so, going 9-1 in the regular season. As we've already mentioned, Xavier have won every single one of their last 6 games. They are on a hot streak with one of their victories coming up against Giants themselves, who experienced their only defeat of the season at the hands of this team. So who knows how this final round may go. By record, you would probably say Giants, against the law of averages, winning 4 rounds on the back and then only losing the last one, would be able to take it, in which case we go through to that 3rd and final map. So, I don't know. I wish I had a crystal ball to know which way it's going, but I also quite like the secrecy, the unforetold future that awaits both of these teams.
6-5. 1 round separates Xavier from being able to save this from going 1 map longer. Well, okay.
Oh, look, Hysterics wants to dance with the nuke again. She doesn't exist.
Yes,
Nope.
looking to try and find Nook, but unfortunately no luck there as they are off the board
Very good.
and out of play. It's just these little changes, these little adaptations that we've seen coming out from both teams. Xavier, again, they're exceptional in just adapting what they want to do here. They've obviously gone back to just the single hard destruction. They're making sure that they're staying in this step pace, and they feel comfortable and confident that Thermite is the one that can knock the doors and the walls they need done through. Obviously, with Onigiri having a big showing in the previous round and a player who's had a pretty big showing all day, only one frag behind Hysterics, who we've already called and shouted the praises for. This is the passion and the pace that they want to be setting here. The drones are working their way, whiling through these amber corridors of chaos that Oregon offers these two teams. Now it's time for them to try and kill each other.
I feel like you can stick any word before chaos and it just sounds good. Like corridors of chaos. It's just a nice word.
Like draw.
A draw of chaos. Maybe not quite. Certain words, maybe one's beginning with a C or a K we'll go for. They're starting to push their way through Attic. Also ends in a K. But it's more about the focus of the defenders.
No,
hey,
it
look,
doesn't.
If it's got ends in a K, if you want to spell it that way.
Yeah.
You ever seen like the weird, cheesy, like, I don't want to say they're like clubs, but they're like, they spell it Attic.
Attic.
They want to try and be edgy. Obviously, it ends in a C normally. It's much cooler. However, things are not cool inside a pig because there's a lot of fire brewing down. And he was trying to lay some fire down in towards the member that just ran their way back in towards kids. Why are you trying to push through fire, good child? You'll find yourself burnt to a crisp in no time at all. Only about 40 HP left on side. And that opening kill came through for the side of Xavier. So you would dare say by old trend fluke, as we spoke around, the team that finds the opening kill is the one that tends to prevail.
Yeah, it's otherwise only gone the opposite way once throughout all of this, and on it twice even, both on these attack halves, and well, let's see how it continues. The pings are consistent. The information is being bled back to the big guns that are holding the line. There's still a bit of electricity in the motions that they're trying to pull down, and well, for the first time, it's a dead-on firing line. Not even Hysterics is on the loop around, but Luna is the first to go with Speakeasy cooking Napew. Red Sun is consistent. Scatman's on a double, and Red Sun too with Xavier, taking us through to our second overtime.
Can we just see these guys play all week? I could watch games like this all day long. It is so ridiculously close. Yet again, we have another overtime where Giants start on the defense. And going by how the last couple of rounds have gone, both attacking rounds going to Xavier, I'd say they're pretty happy about starting on the attacking side here. I guess the big fear they'll no doubt have is that basement is where they so far have failed to find a win. They've won on kitchen and dining and just a second to go in towards kids. So they need to come up with something new if they are going to take control of basement and give themselves round number 13.
A lot of kind of compliments must be paid, obviously, to Xavier. They're on the back of 4 rounds they've lost in a row, and they're looking at potentially losing out this map and moving on to the next, which isn't the worst thing. But in the same breath, 6-6, they battle back 2 rounds.
This is what I love to see. The guys mentioned it on the desk earlier. I had a chat to Onigiri about this last week and asked him, you know, what is it with Finker with you guys? Because not many teams around the world play it. Really keen to understand what it is that makes it so important to you. And he said quite simply, where a team is playing very, very turtle-heavy, and given you've seen a Mute, a Smoke, a Mirror, and a Kaid, you're going to assume this is a very turtle-heavy setup. And he said the plus 20 HP you give yourself, the balanced out ADS, aim down sights that is, rather than the ADS is coming out of someone like a Jaeger. And the fact that if you are running into anything like, I don't know, an Elamine, for example, you will, of course, have that the distortion is reduced. The one thing you have to be super careful of, and I remember this at the time when it came out, seeing it in the video, is you die a lot quicker to smoke canisters. If that comes out at the right time from Speakeasy, this Xavier lineup could be in for a world of hurt. So it is absolutely essential that 1, Speakeasy stays alive, and 2, holds onto those smoke canisters for when the execute comes in.
They're applying their pressure now towards blue, towards bunker, and towards the side where they can try and get eyes on the site. Obviously, as you said, this has been an 100% ratio for Giants on their defense so far, and it wasn't, only a 66 on their opponents of Xavier. So it's something where Giants have generally taken more of an edge. They've been more comfortable here and more set in, dug in, and happy to play around the masonry. Speakeasy, talking of, tries to flirt with the danger on the staircases. The basement arrow is pointing him in a direction, but for him, the wrong direction. He wants to find these drones, find some culpability, and find some chaos as he looks towards more of the aggression to meet Xavier's with.
Big focus in towards the blue wall. It always is a focus, and normally teams will be holding out here with a shield, as we've seen happen so many times over, but with no Goyo on side, you run the risk of not having enough time as the fire rages to be able to pull back into sight. Luna's going to find one, but Redsun, he is not to be deterred. 2 kills as 2 members, maybe a bit mistakenly, try and push onto him inside a blue bunker, and Xavier have the advantage. I'm going to be saying that's one of the big things, or one of the big plays, that is going to come back to bite them so hard later on if this game goes the way of Xavier, because Giants, the team that everyone coins the best team in APAC, would find themselves going home early. A grenade rings in. Luna not quite taking enough damage to put him down, but one is close. C4 comes out, won't be enough to kill off Map2, and now it's about holding close. They're down each other, and of course, with this being the Finker, she's in a spot where if she gets back up, she could be saved, but 3 kills out of nowhere for Giants. What is it with these late round flourishes? Speakeasy in this round. Onigiri's by himself. It's a 1 versus 2 as the mirror is down. There's no time to get him back up and alive, but he's there as the perfect bait. Wonderful from Giants to swing things back after what looked like a critical error early on.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable motion, unbelievable things. Unbelievable catch there from Easy to get all of what was just such a step-for-step and play-by-play. Beautiful, perfect, other complimentary words. Really, really just well put together. We are unfortunately going to a rehost as we find ourselves coming back into the studio just if but for a second to take probably a needed breath.
Very. I mean, I'm just sitting here now just like, let's not forget to breathe, because second time we've gone through to overtime.
Yeah.
And you still get the feeling that you just don't know how the rounds are going to play out. We see a critical mistake like at the start of that round. 2 members of Giants pushing through the supply breach and thinking, it's okay, we can kill this guy who's waiting around the corner. No, my friends, it's not that simple.
No, it's 7-6. However, this is familiar. We were on a 7-6 last time with Giants 1 step ahead. And then things went, unfortunately, wrong for them. It started to fall apart. Xavier did Xavier things. Insane clutches and bits of motion with 2 rounds coming back into their favor when they are on death's potential door. Now they're on the potential of being able to push into the next map. Sure, they have that second wind, that second bit of life, but it's nothing that they want to rely upon. They want to lock this out here.
The one thing I always kind of look at, especially across the last few rounds, has been partly drone work. And that last round there wasn't really any on supply to know who was holding where and who was pushing who. And that's why when Map2 pushed through the electric breach in towards supply and thinking, I'll take a fight here, it's no problem, you were kind of taking a gamble. You were hoping that the boost that came out of the Finker was enough to get you walking in comfortably to find a kill with that small HP boost that you get. And I just feel like chancing it on blind pushes like that isn't the best idea. Sure, if you catch the element of surprise, 100%. But Giants, as we saw, very accurately anticipated that one coming through. It's why I keep on saying it is so hard to drive a wedge between these 2 teams right now, because round to round, it has been back and forth. Apart from that 4-round streak we saw out of Giants in the middle of the game, Xavier kind of took a bit of time to adjust, but I feel they're on the right track.
Hey, able to find 2 rounds at the back of losing 4 on your attacks on your opponent's map. They went from being 2 rounds up to 2 rounds down, and on death's door, they found something. They found a spark that turned into a fire that burnt through the Giants. Now they're on OT. Now they're in the situation where they might not only be able to knock out the favorites, the dominant, living up to their name in their region and only dropping 1 map all season to, a little team called Xavier. Hey, they're proving that it was in no way lucky, in no way just a trick. They are here, and they are ready to put guns and bullets into the Giants.
Just in case you are wondering, we are in a rehost, of course. I know you can't see it on the screen, but in the final couple of rounds, potentially, we are in overtime, going into round number 14. We'll see the epic conclusion to that one relatively soon. And in case you've missed this series, when it's over, go back and watch it. I said it on Twitter earlier, if there are any naysayers of the region, this is a game to go back and watch.
Oh, yeah.
This is the one that is telling, because the last time these 2 teams played and it ended 7-1 to Xavier, Giants themselves after said, we weren't on form today, we weren't communicating well, something wasn't quite right in our mentality. Today, I'd say the right team has showed up.
That's the thing about it as well, is when we reference that Xavier beats Giants before, they didn't just beat them, they 7-1'd them on Coastline. To take a team that is seemingly bulletproof and not only make them bleed, but make them look like they are in a class below you, takes a lot of doing. And Xavier did it in creatively shotgun-y ways. if you want to go back and watch that. Here, this is them doing their best, trying their hardest and putting pressure, but this is a Giants that have shown up. A Giants that are able to manipulate the play space and do what we know they're capable of in so many creative, explosive ways, where it's just, again, it's enthralling, it's exciting. It is words that start with E that stand for really good things.
I'm back with you in a few seconds, I'm told, so when that's up and live, we'll get back into it, don't worry. I can even hear the sound in my ears, which tells me a lot. I was going to point out, you look towards the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the Cyclops logo. It's basically exactly the same as your shirt.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I'm on the analysis. I'll try not to be biased. We got a message actually before we got into this of Giants and on your selfie where they were like, they both look handsome. I'm like, Giants, you can't win us that easily. Come on now.
I was like, oh, I see what you're trying to do here.
Luckily, your players are winning the hearts and minds of the people. But hey, Xavier,
They are the people.
So are yours. If anyone has shown up today and surprised a lot of people that don't really know a huge amount about this region, Xavier, because this is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal, and it's still not even over, because if this goes as a win to the side of Giants, we go through to a third map. And I feel, with how close it has been across both maps, it would be a real shame if Xavier did nick it in the final dying rounds of both maps. It feels like it needs a third map to really reach its total conclusion. That map that neither side chose, it was left as a decider. And that's where it comes down to. That's what I want to see. Because if it's been this close between these two on maps that either team feels strong on, good luck predicting what that third map's going to look like.
That's it. Obviously, you know, this is their maps, their places, and you're looking at Cafe Dostoevsky as the third map, which plays into the beat and the rhythm of all of this play space and all of this definition and where we can go from. They are similar. They are of an ilk. And these two teams have been able to really bring some dynamism to the play space here.
So kids, where Xavier are going to stage their final defense, maybe not the final round, but at the very least their final defense. And I'm looking to Map2 on this pulse and thinking, what shenanigans have you got planned for us? We've seen quite a few teams play downstairs inside of security, normally stacking it up with mute jammers, for example, and looking to toss C4s up towards games room as teams go for the plants in that oh-so-default spots. Right now he's actually downstairs inside a basement, maybe looking for the call of when someone is pushing in. And sadly, most of that downstairs ceiling is totally hard. You can't push through it. It's not a soft floor. You can't blow it up with C4s. So I imagine Hysterics isn't too worried about running through here, knowing that someone could be on the downstairs. Giants were always very meticulous with their full coverage of the map. If you recall back at the start of the game, when we were attacking in towards basement, a lot of their focus came into taking control of the top floor, sticking to operators up there, getting the default cams, even committing drones topside. I wonder now if the same attention and care is given to the basement when we're attacking onto the top floor.
Map2 playing off...
No one is. No one's coming for him.
No, with the pulse, you can hear some pops happening nearby, but so far it's slow and steady. Oh, we've said and seen that many times before, and I guess we're going to say and see it many times since Luna.
How does he miss Ysera but get TCH in that situation?
Just really wanted to kill TCH. Really wanted to kill Luna.
Interesting. All right, well, that's a good start for Xavier.
Yeah. Hey, DCH is a player, obviously, who was a pretty big force in the first map, is one that hasn't had as many chances throughout this because they keep getting shut down. But at the same time, with Onigiri stepping up and Redson recently, well, hey, that's the par for the course. That's what this team loves to do, is they can all thrive. They can all pick up these roles. You look at the end board of the previous map where so many of the players were over 10 kills. This is what these two teams are very, they lock in on the idea of putting bodies down.
Steric's got a flank drone underneath the bench. They will see him coming in soon. Just a question of how fast he wants to move. In fact, I think he just killed the drone, so we knew it was there in the first place. That should give some fear onto the side of Giants that there is someone lurking that they don't know about. And I was going to say the one thing here is that although Map2 has been super sneaky, they have no doubt been aware that he isn't on site. There's no jammers on site. They can't prevent these drones coming in. They can count to 4. They know there's only 4 players on site. They know they need to deal with that. Speakeasy, though, saying, I'll deal with Scatman, and he's been removed on the smoke. That also critical smoke we keep on talking about, but it's DCH. They haven't dealt with APAC here, and this is why you need control of APAC if you're going to make this happen. A couple of kills fly through, but Hysterics being Hysterics does just what he needs to. However, he's in a 1 versus 3 as Map2 finds Jordan. Xavier close it out. We're going all the way once more to round 15. You cannot separate these two teams.
7-7.
Oh, boy.
Oh, word. Giants. Back on the defense. Now, obviously, when you look at what they've been able to take, they've had success at dining and kitchen and dorms, but they've also had failures there. So it's kind of, okay, well, which do we pick? Which do we feel more confident on? And currently, and I'm going to wait until it locks in. It's locked in. It's locked in on dorms. It's locked in on dorms, which is obviously, it was previously their tertiary one. They're going to try and stay here with a bit more solidity and see what they can make land. A change here. Map2 is on the Monty.
I was about to say, it's Redson that's played Monty so far. I'm really surprised to see them changing up at such a critical time. Arguably, Redson, we've seen the number of pistol duels that he's taken is a very proficient Monty player. You can see why it's quite a strong pick for these boys. I'm keen to see what the changing game plan is once they start looking towards the site in this case. But to my mind, the focus has to no doubt be getting inside of Master, opening up the wardrobe wall once more, and trying to get a plant down successfully inside of game. The big difference once you have a Monty on side is that you can afford to plant inside a normal doorway. Just step through it, start planting, cover the planter in that case, and get yourself back in towards something like Trophy or out the double window or back into Attic or wherever it is they choose to put their focus. Either way, the Giants have got to be so careful of the damage that Xavier can do.
Now with 7-7 on the board, I think one of the changes there, and obviously Redson, he started to become a bit of a force. He started to become a bit of a kind of had a heft to his motions. He was able to put some pressure back against what the Giants are doing on their defense. Yeah, sure, it was almost in a situation of trade, but I think not being this kind of mountain that has to be in certain locations offered him a bit of kind of leniency. You have your strategies, you have your structure, you have who plays who and why they play them, but on the day, if a player like Redson on this map starts to show up in the same gun skill way he does, well, why don't you give him a little bit more? Why don't you promote him to a slightly different operator, a slightly different role, and see what else he can do?
Starrick's doing Starrick's things here and looking to cause some trouble downstairs. Last round it was Map2 on the pulse trying to do something to similar effect. Starrick's not on the same operator, but with an arguably more capable gun here is looking to cause some trouble. Attic is going to get opened up, and that is where the big focus is. Look at this, 4 members from Xavier pushing in from the north. Not sure where the 5th is just now, but we'll find out in just a second. Now it comes down to the attention of where they're going to rotate members, because now you've got that north wall open. You don't really need your hard breaches there anymore. You look to stick them down somewhere south, like where Super Onigiri is now, looking in towards Master and that eventual wardrobe wall that we keep on mentioning. I think Scatman is trying to make sure there's no one lurking around Armory, so that rotation is safe.
Ysera did still have a claw that they might have been able to try and pull some of the thermite charges away, but potentially opted to save it for maybe wardrobe or the push from that side, or try and obviously catch the rotation there from Pig through towards the bedroom. I guess it's one of those moments where you go, okay, well, why is he keeping this? Because, yeah, it's a slow deploy, but he was right next to the wall. He heard everything being put down and played. He could have very easily caught it, or at least baited it. Here's the impact trick, and there's the charge. Beautiful demonstration of how that's done, and it's why it becomes quite tough getting in here, because, well, with a player as skilled as Luna is, he makes it look like step for step, and there is the Kaid claw that I talked to you about before. That's what it was saved for.
Well, now they know that there was a focus down towards that wall. It's absolutely the way to go. It didn't really matter whether or not they electrified it, to be honest with you, because there's simply no way they get this wall open. That means you're going to have to see this risky plant I spoke about, where the Monty steps through a single doorway, someone crouches in behind him, in this case looking like Scatman, and tries to go for the play from there. You can see there's a big focus in for the defenders looking down towards the southwest side, the attackers to the northeast, Fluke, and this is where they need to make it happen. This is where it counts.
Now with a 5-4 and the C4 is exploding over the shoulders, you can see Napier sneaking in the smoke. There is another one that goes for Giants, but Scatman isn't over yet as Luna goes down. Maestro's off in a second for Scatman, but Speakeasy stops the roll of Onigiri, swinging around a dangerous shield and a bit of play space in a 3 versus 2 with less than 10 seconds. Now it's down to just 1, but no Giants! They ensure it is just down to 1, not 1 player, 1 more map, my word. We're going to Cafe.
Are we getting a fabled 45-round series? Because that is what this deserves. 8-7 again. This time leaning towards the Giants with a very, very ironclad defense at the very end. Didn't matter where the Monty was, didn't matter where the focus was. The big issue is once more with these walls so well reinforced and well defended, your